Alrighty, hey guys, how's it going? It's Joy here. Excuse me, I'm back again with another live. Welcome, everybody. Happy Sunday, happy Super Bowl Sunday, you guys. To those of you that are planning on watching the Super Bowl, um, who are you guys rooting for? Does anybody have any favorites that they're rooting for in particular? I know I was actually did a session earlier and I was saying that I'm probably gonna watch it, but I'm not really big on football. I'm more of a basketball kind of gal, but I do like to watch football sometimes too. So, um, but yeah, I thought I'd mention that. And yeah, you guys, I wanted to say if this is you guys' first time watching, welcome. Again, my name is Joy, and I am a narcissist abuse coach. I myself have been dealing with narcissists since 2006. And since 2017, I have been helping former victims, now survivors, heal, move on, and recover after dealing with narcissistic abuse. And I did want to let folks know on my Facebook that I am live. So if you guys are following me on Facebook, make sure that you do join the live or share it with a friend or a family member. Okay, so yeah, cheers to Sunday. And also wanted to give you guys an update on the mental health meet and greets. So I wanted to say good job, you guys. We're definitely getting there as far as the goal. We do need a few more donations. So anyone else out there, please feel free to leave a donation to the mental health improvement, mental health awareness meet and greet events. It's going to be really good. We're going to have a lot of folks coming out to support, share their stories, share their mental health journeys with, folks. And, hopefully it can provide healing, clarity, confirmation, reassurance, empowerment, and upliftment because, we definitely need that in the community and more. So yes, make sure that you do leave a donation. If you have already left a donation, thank you so much. Please continue to keep doing that. And also, I did want to let you guys know the South Florida event has been confirmed. It's going to be February the 28th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So that's going to be really nice. And if you are going to be attending, I will give you the address. The only thing you have to do is just send me an email at livenarcfree9@gmail.com if you're in the Florida area, and we can arrange that. Or if you're interested in attending the events in New York, North Carolina, California, and some other city and states, make sure that you do get in contact with me. So that way we can arrange that. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys the flyer here. Beautiful flyers. We got some more coming out. So yes, make sure that you stay tuned. Like I said, it's for a very good cause. So make sure that you do get involved. And like I said, we can't do it without everyone's support. So we need your support. And like I said, we have until the end of the month to get the goal met, you guys. So make sure that you do get involved, okay? And what I'm going to do, because I know Indigenous, he did donate. So shout out to him. And thank you for those of you that did donate. Thank you. Um, he said to pin the GoFundMe. So that's what I'm going to do. And I do have, other ways in which I can support, the family. You guys, like I said, go to my website and find out how I can support you further on your mental health journey. Let's see what we got here. Now, this topic today, you guys, I felt like I haven't talked about it in a while, and I'm like, let's kind of bring it up because I know we've been talking about the work environment narcissism, and we're going to keep, touching on that as needed. But today, excuse me, I wanted to shift a little bit and talk about narcissistic parents. I mention this because, this is a Super Bowl time, and, some folks might be around family and certain friends, but mainly family. Usually the Super Bowl is like a family thing. And some people may find that, they're around family members and, they can be behaving in a very narcissistic way, meaning, they may want all the attention, they may be dramatic, they may try to put people against each other, they may try to be egotistical or, very self-centered or self-absorbed, things like that. Or they could, just be very arrogant. They may behave in an obnoxious way. They may be belittling people, putting people down. Not everybody. I'm not saying that about all parents. But some parents do behave that way on certain occasions, certain events. I know, like with my auntie, I know you guys heard me tell the story quite a bit. Like I said, when it came to special occasions, like if it's Super Bowl parties, anniversaries, birthdays, graduations, whatever it was, my auntie found a way to turn the attention back onto her. She, if it wasn't about her, she either tried to make it about her, or she tried to ruin it, or try to bring the energy down or bring the vibes down, or was just straight up, bullying people, making fun of people, not harassing, I'm sorry. She was, just being a big, nuisance, really. And that is just something that narcissistic parents, they behave that way. Narcissistic parents need constant attention. They really try to hold you back in life. I know I talked about this on another video. They do not want their adult children to grow up. They try to sabotage their adult children's relationships, friendships. And I can say firsthand that my auntie, she did do this. She for sure did this. And like I said, I didn't know like what was going on at the time because I was really young. I was like 17 when I first lived with my auntie. And I think I ended up moving out at age 22. So I was really young, very like, just like a sponge, just taking everything in and not really understanding, what was going on. But, like after I moved out on my own, I think I was going to college at the time, and I, was able to create some distance between myself and her. I was kind of starting to see how much better I would feel. I would feel more at peace, no anxiety, no stress, no feeling obligated or guilty or anything like that. A lot of narcissists like to instill fear in their adult children. Again, they don't want you to go ahead and live your life. They want you to take care of them for the rest of your life. And I'm not saying it's anything wrong with taking care of your parents, but some parents understand, they're like, okay, well, my son or daughter, they have to go and live their life. Yeah, they can take care of me, but I understand that they have to kind of do what they have to do. But narcissistic parents, no, like a lot of the times they will demand that you take care of them. If you don't, they will either try to force you to do it, or they'll abandon you, they'll punish you, they'll start a smear campaign. They will start arguments. They may start fights. Like I know, like my auntie, her and I, we got into it quite a bit, because again, remember, the narcissists are all about control, power, control, competition, enforcing their will onto, their adult children or the people around them. Sometimes they try to control people with finances. Sometimes a lot of narcissists are very well to do. I know an individual that I was, seeing at the time. His mother was actually a narcissist, and his mother got off on controlling people and being the person, I guess, quote unquote, being the breadwinner, and got off on controlling people through their finances. A lot of female narcissists are good with that. They really kind of mastered controlling people with finances, whether they try to control how you spend your money or when you spend it, or, I know, like, for instance, the gentleman that I was seeing at the time, his mother would try to take control over everything. So what she did was try to impress people with how much, I guess, she earns or whatever. Like they're very like materialistic. So she would be the type of say, "Oh, I'll get you groceries," or, "Oh, I'll pay for this," or, "Oh, I'll pay for that." So she will, I guess, essentially try to trick people into thinking that, she, has the best intentions, she can take care of everything. You don't have to worry about it. Just leave it in her hands, that kind of thing. And I would say she was a malignant narcissist for sure, a malignant narcissist. And she was a little bit overt because she was very loud about it for the most part. But in the beginning, it's a little covert to a degree. But overall, I would say she was malignant. Maybe well, she wasn't super loud, but if you would be around her, she would make it known that she wants the attention on her, right? And she would also make it known, like, if you're quote unquote accepted into the family dynamic, the family cult, narcissistic cult, but Yeah, so she will try to approach you and say, "Oh, let's go out for lunch," and try to get like all this information on you. So eventually later on, she can throw it back at you, or try to re-traumatize you, or like hurt you, or betray you, basically. So I saw that she was kind of like that. And I remember too, like she would compare me to the person that I was seeing at the time. She would compare me to their ex partner, and I was thinking like, okay, like that's kind of weird, you know? And to be honest, you guys, I never really wanted to spend too much time with her like that because like I said, I knew it was something that was off. But, sometimes I guess you have to experience certain things, and sometimes those are lessons that we have to learn the hard way. Um, but I guess the biggest thing with her, like I said, she was all about control. She, like I said, was trying to pay for everything. I noticed like with the finances, like she also would say like, "Oh, I'll pay for this, I'll pay for that." And then it wasn't just she was doing it out of the kindness of her heart. She was doing it because she wanted to be able to have control over like where we traveled, or over like where we like little things that we plan or whatever, or just have a say so in like decisions in the relationship. And so I found that to be quite intrusive, quite enmeshed. I don't know if you guys heard of those kind of topics where some family dynamics have it to where certain family members are enmeshed with one another and they cross boundaries, they violate one another. So, I kind of seen that as like a sign that that just was not the best situation for me, just because I'm like, well, I'm connecting with this person, not their mother. Like, I understand it's good to be, close and connect with your partner's family and stuff like that, but not to the point where they're trying to intrude and be overly controlling and, you know, um, providing advice and doing things that you're not asking for. You get what I'm saying? Like it's also an instance, let's say if it's like a mother-in-law or something like that, like some mother-in-laws will try to come over and clean the house. They'll come over and try to take over their grandkids, I guess. Or they'll try to treat, like I said, if it's your spouse, as if it's their spouse when it's supposed to be their son or daughter, and they're trying to intrude in on your connection that you have with their adult son or daughter. So some mother or father-in-laws, I guess they don't know how to like let go. They don't know how to, have boundaries and respect each other's privacy. And they don't recognize that they're like, no, you're me, I'm you, like it's all the same. It's like, no, it's not. you know so you do have a lot of that, and you have some mother-in-laws that will try to break up relationships with their adult children and whoever their partner is. um they will be, and I'll put in-laws in the title too, because I know some people deal with that type of dynamic. Yeah, you have some in-laws that will, again, they will try to sabotage your relationship, sabotage your marriage. They will try to maybe even mistreat the kids, turn the kids against you. If, let's say, some mother-in-laws will begin a smear campaign on their adult child's partner, and really just kind of take over the relationship and make it all about them. Because again, that narcissistic parent or that narcissistic in-law is so miserable. They're a narcissist, so they need that constant supply. They need that constant, reassurance, and they themselves make them out to be they become the child and the child becomes the parent, where they have that whole parentification type of thing going on that the narcissist likes to do to their adult children. Sorry about that, you guys. But yeah, you do have that dynamic going on like quite a bit, you guys. So it's interesting. um But yeah, be careful of narcissistic parents trying to hold their children back. Now, if you're a narc parent, it's not nice to do to your child, even if the parent is not a narcissist, but let's say they're like very protective, they're very defensive, they, are just feel like they're just trying to keep their family safe. They feel like they're doing their job as a parent. They're doing their diligencies. You know, hopefully you have raised your children right to make good decisions, or give them the best advice as possible to kind of lead them in the right direction, to give them a sense of purpose in life, to give them a sense of self and a sense of, being in this world that we live in. But narcissistic parents, they will, like I said, I know, like, my auntie, she would pin me against certain friends. Even like when I remember when I was 19, and I was young, just doing my thing, and I remember I had people come over and visit, and a lot of the people that came over, they were like, Joy, like, I don't think your auntie likes me. They was like, your auntie, she looks mean. And I'm thinking like, oh, what are you guys talking about? And this was like before the abuse was kicking in, but once I was starting to experience it, I'm like, oh, I see what they're talking about. Because remember, sometimes narcissists, they treat people differently, so you might have an experience with a narcissist. Somebody else may have a completely different experience. So let's say you have a positive experience with a narcissist. Let's say you're in the family dynamic, and then someone else may have a different situation, a different remembrance by the narc. So let's say if it's a scapegoat versus a golden child or something, or let's say it's you're a love interest for the narcissist, and let's say the narcissist is viewing another person as an enemy or a competitor, or they feel like someone is in the way, they're going to treat that person really bad. Versus the person that they have interest in, maybe a love interest, they're going to treat them real sweet. So like if you bring it to someone's attention, then they're going to be confused. They're going to be shocked. Like, what do you mean? Like, even like at the job that I was working at the time, I remember I told them, I'm like, hey, this person is doing this to me at the job. And you know what they said? They were like, no way, that person, there's no way they can do that. I'm like, yes, way, it's them. And it's just because the narcissist doesn't present themselves to be who they truly are, which is, manipulative. They're cunning, they're deceptive, they're liars, they're cheaters, they're stealers and stuff like that. So, when I had told my supervisor and my boss, like, hey, this person is doing this, they were shocked. They're like, we cannot believe it, because apparently that individual was at the company for a while and was doing well, and then the whole situation happened, and then it just kind of went left. And so a lot of people were shocked. A lot of people did not believe me. They were just like, Joy, like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, like that person was doing that behind the scenes. They was getting help from people. They could not believe it. And then, like I said, when that person ended up getting fired, I was like, see, I told you. Like, you get what I'm saying? So, and it wasn't just by accident, because apparently that person was supposed to have been like one of the top people at the job. But see, when you mess with the wrong person, that's what happens, so it is what it is. Yeah, but yeah, do keep that in mind though, with the smear campaigns, and even like at the job too. Like, I know that individual did launch a smear campaign, probably still has one going on now. But that individual will never approach me. That person will never say anything to me, because like I said, they're cowards. So, and like I said, even when I was working at the job, she never came up to me. She never said anything to me about what her problem was with me. She never ever, and she probably never will, because they're too scared. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's why they have to get people involved, because they can't do it by themselves. So you do have that. But and to me, like, I don't know, like, if someone would approach me and was like talking trash on someone at the job, I don't know, like, I just wouldn't be the type to be quick to like try to get in on it, especially if it's something negative, especially if it's something to like hurt another person and to harm them. Like, I don't get that mentality. Like, that's just like really weird. Like, and it's crazy, because it's like a lot of people are quick to get onto something negative, but then when it comes to something positive, people are like, I don't know, it's just strange. But it's just really weird to me. But anyways, you guys, so yeah, but keep in mind, the whole smear campaign, that's a big thing. Like, even like my auntie, I know that she did have a smear campaign against me for sure. Her smear campaign was probably more of a thing like, oh, well, I took care of her, I did the best for her, and she didn't want to listen to me, she didn't want to do what I was telling her to do. Excuse me. And I know, like, my aunt was telling me the reason why she was treating me the way that she did. And actually, my at the time, my grandmother, she ended up transitioning in 2007. And that was a thing for my auntie too, because my auntie was taking care of my grandmother at the time, and I could see my grandmother transitioning, because like when a person just gets of that age and they stop eating, they just get really miserable, and they start losing a lot of weight, and their body is just changing. I could see like she was slowly going into that transition. But my auntie kind of said that as an excuse, like, oh, well, I promised your grandmother that you was going to graduate from high school, you was going to graduate from college. So she kind of used that as an excuse to like mistreat me basically, or treat me like a daughter. And I'm thinking like, well, you never said that. All that time, I mean, living with her, she never expressed that to me. She has said this after the fact, like once I moved out, and even after all the abuse occurred, like the abuse was happening. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's crazy. And yeah, they will do that. And she was also saying another thing that she did admit to me. She was like, oh, Joy, she felt like she had her kids too early. She said she felt like she got married early, and she was like, yeah. And she's like, I see you, and you don't have any of those things as of yet. So she was like, that's good. And I'm thinking like, what? Like, because my auntie, and I had told my mother about this recently, and I was like, yeah, mom, like I had when I first started living with my auntie back in 2006, I think I was 18 or 19. She told me that if I was to, get involved with someone, or, conceive or anything like that, she told me that I had to move out. That's what my auntie told me. And I had told my mother that recently. I think I told my mom that before, but I had just realized that my aunt had said that she was like super strict, very strict. And I guess it was a reason why she was like that. But ultimately, sometimes, like I said, narcissistic parents, they're very controlling, and they want to make everything about themselves. And a lot of the things that they do is because they're trying to make themselves look good. A lot of narcissistic parents do not care about the people that they're taking care of. Like, I've seen that firsthand. Like, I seen my auntie bully her own husband. I seen her bully her sons. She had two boys. They're grown now. I think her oldest still lives with her, but the youngest, I think he ended up moving to a different state. But and the other thing I wanted to mention about the smear campaigns, because not only did I get smeared at work, but I also got smeared from my auntie, which, my family member. So with my auntie, I'm assuming she smeared me. In my mind, I'm thinking she's probably telling people like how ungrateful I was because of like everything that she's done, and the fact that I didn't listen to her. That, because remember, they were all about control. Because I remember before I left, before I moved out of my auntie's house, she was like, "Well, Joy, are you sure you want to move? Because you're gonna have to take care of this. You're gonna have to take care of that." And so it's trying to put like fear and guilt and obligation on me. But luckily I didn't allow that to bother me, because if I would have allowed that, then I wouldn't be talking to you guys today, right? So I'm just glad that I like trusted myself, and I trusted my intuition. And I don't know, something was just telling me like, is to just go ahead and do what I got to do. And I remember there would be times too, like when I would be, trying to talk to my auntie to express my emotions and tell her, things about my day. And I remember, I think I told you guys this, but my auntie, she was like, well, you shouldn't feel that way. Like, don't feel that way, like, so I don't know. I think essentially she was trying to train me to like block out my emotions, like, don't feel how I feel, just ignore it, just dismiss it, like, but so essentially she's teaching me like I don't matter, you're not important. Like that's now when I look back, I'm like that's what it came off as, so that's abuse. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy. Like you just don't know like how people are going to treat you, if you're living with them, if you're working with them, if you go to school with them, if you go to church with them. A lot of people experience church hurt. Some people get embarrassed in the church environment. They get made fun of. People like judge them, and different things go on in the church, and it's sad. It's never really talked about. It happens, and people just move on with their lives, and they have that with them. And some people just end up being resentful, just being bitter. So it's good to kind of bring that stuff to the forefront and to speak on it. I know for me, I can definitely say I dealt with some church hurt, and I want to make a video on that. I'm glad that I brought that up, especially because of the events that took place and things of that nature. But we'll touch on that on another topic. You guys know I don't like to make these videos too long. I know the other one almost went on for like an hour. I was like, oh, I haven't had a long video like that in a really long time. So you do have that. Give me a moment, you guys. I want to pause for a bit. So yeah, you guys, I think I might go live on my Facebook. Hold on, y'all. Y'all know I'd be going live on there. Oh, and by the way, for those of you that have donated to the meet and greet events, I wanted to go ahead and share with you guys the link to the group. So, depending on which city you're attending the meet and greet event, that way you can stay in contact with one another, that kind of thing. So that way we can keep that going. Alrighty, so let's see. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and share that link. But yeah, you guys, I wanted to bring this up. Like I said, I know a lot of folks are probably getting ready for the Super Bowl. Folks are having Super Bowl parties and all that good stuff, right? So let me see. So yeah. So yeah, you guys, but yeah, be mindful of the smear campaign. I guess the best advice if you're dealing with a smear campaign, whether if it's from family members or coworkers, is just try your best to ignore it. Just distance yourself from it. Remember, this is a part of the abuse by the narcissist. Oh, and that's the other thing, is that they will influence people not to like you. They will also influence people to hurt you too. I know the female narcissist at the job that I used to work at did influence people to stalk and harass me, gang stalking, which could lead to hurt, right? It can lead to a sense of like being fearful, being like on edge, being almost afraid too. Like you like looking out, because I was looking out because I'm like, I don't know who this person is. Like deep down, like of course it's a coworker, but due to the fact that we didn't have conversations, I don't know this person from a can of paint, so I don't know what they're capable of. And the people that she got to like harass and stalk me, I don't know them either. I just know that I work with them at a call center. We take calls and we go home. You get what I'm saying? But outside of work, I don't know what that person does, and I really don't care. But as long as they don't touch me, I'm Gucci, So, but yeah, they will influence people to hurt you. They will influence people to ghost you. That's another one, ghosting. Sometimes narcissists will ghost you. They'll get other people to ghost you. There was another girl too, I wouldn't call her fat, but she was like on the heavier side. She was actually on my team too. She was kind of weird because I think I told you about this. She would watch me every day at work. Like we would be on the same team because I ended up switching teams. I switched my work schedules and then I switched my teams. And this individual sat on the same row as me. And every single day, I kid you not, she would be looking at me. And we were all friends with the same person. And I guess I didn't fit into the quote unquote friend group or whatever. And I think the female narcissist also says something about my age too, because I'm a little, I'm 36, and I know a lot of them were a little younger than me. And I always remember her saying something like, "Oh, the age, or whatever like that." And I'm thinking like, okay, so what's your point? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it was weird. And I felt like she would do this female narcissist would do a lot of this stuff. I think she was doing it to make herself feel better because she was so miserable, because it's like you have to be miserable to come up with a plan to gang stalk somebody at work. Like I don't like I said, I personally would not do that to anybody. Like, I don't really know people around my particular circle that would do something like that. But you don't know other people. People are capable of anything. You don't know what's going on in their mind. Who knows? So but when it impacts you, then you be like, okay, so what's up? Like, you get what I'm saying? So but yeah, so this other chick, I guess she knew her too. They were all like friends or whatever. And I don't know if she knew what was going on. She probably did, I don't know. But it was a heavy set girl. She had, like thick hair. She was on the bigger side, heavy, like BBW side. And she would always be looking at me. And it's crazy too, because I remember one time my friend and I, we were talking and we was on one side of the road, and then the other girl, she was like, "Oh, so and so," like, and interrupts us from talking, like we're having a conversation, and she just interrupts our conversation, and my friend, he walks over and starts talking to her, and I'm thinking like, that was weird, like, and then so that happened. And then it was like times when I would see this girl, like she would like either give me like a weird look or a frown, or like just really behave in a weird way, would be like super sweet to my friend guy, so I'm like, this is strange. Like, and I was thinking, I was like, okay, maybe she just doesn't like me, maybe, I don't know. And then I remember sometimes she had said some comments about me. She was like, "Oh, Joy, like you are slim," or something like that. And she was like, "Oh, I wish I was like that," or something weird. I don't know. It was like weird talks. And I think this person was younger too. So you have to remember, sometimes when some people are like younger in age, they're less mature and less developed, so. And she would always, and I guess she had like looked up my stuff online or whatever, because I guess she had saw some of the things that I did, and it seemed like she was like trying to downplay, like, I guess what I was doing. And I'm thinking like, you don't even know me from a can of paint, so why are you trying to judge me? Like, and that's what I thought was funny. I'm like, all these people are like, I guess, judging me or whatever, and I'm like, y'all don't even know. Even the female narc, she didn't know me either, but she had this whole big smear campaign about what she thought about me and my life. Like, she didn't know any clue. But meanwhile, I know who she was. I knew she was a narcissist. I'm very familiar with narcissists, so I was like, okay, well, if we want to go there. But yeah, so that's very interesting dynamic when it comes to narcissists and smear campaigns. And yeah, they will influence people to hurt you, so be mindful, you guys. Be careful with these narcissists. Like I said, sometimes you can begin to see them. You just give them time, that they will reveal themselves. But other times it might be a little tricky, because maybe they're being strategic, like how this female narcissist was being. My auntie was being strategic too. Because, like, even I remember after I hadn't really seen my auntie in a really long time, she came off super sweet. She came off like, oh, was trying to be super helpful. and that she really cared and things like that. And eventually, like I said, the true colors came to light. So people can only put up the facade for so long. So I would say the best thing is to determine a narcissist, watch their behavior, watch, because people can talk, but watch what they do, watch how they treat other people. But remember, people can only put up the facade for so long. It's eventually it's like, okay, the jig is up, it's boring now, like this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So you will see, so not saying that to scare anybody, but it's just like, hey, you have to kind of know what you're dealing with. Now, if you feel like maybe sometimes you behave in a narcissistic way, it's just like, just check yourself, just be like, hey, maybe I need to adjust, maybe I might need to, go back and do some inner healing, maybe I need to work on some difficulties, some challenges, some different traumas or betrayals. Maybe I need to work on resentment, maybe I need to not be jealous, maybe I need to focus on myself. Maybe I need to work on insecurities. Maybe I need to focus on my career or my work or whatever the case may be. So that way you are not coming off as having narcissistic tendencies. Because, like I always tell people, depending on the situation, you don't have to cut off these narcissists if you absolutely cannot. I'm not saying go full no contact. For me, I've had the opportunity to go full no contact. So that's a good thing. But some people don't have that opportunity to do so, right? So you have to get creative on how you connect with these people and how you're, interacting with them, right? So let's say you just limited contact. So you just be limited. Can you go full no contact? Perfect. If not, then you have to adjust yourself and you may have to work on yourself. Maybe you have to spend some time alone. Maybe you have to be single for a while, and work on yourself. Work on loving yourself. Work on valuing yourself and respecting yourself, right? Because it all starts with us. So anyway, I hope that this video was helpful and insightful. I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully, this can help those watching that could be dealing with this type of situation. Understand that you are not alone, and it's not a bad thing to reach out for help. It's not a bad thing to ask for support, because I know for me, I had to ask for help. I had to ask for support. So, if I didn't, I wouldn't be here today, right? So, but anyways, like I said, make sure that you guys leave a comment, give this video a like, share, and subscribe. Let me know any other topics you guys want me to do. And also, like I said, for the meet and greet event, make sure that you do contribute. You leave a donation today. And remember, whatever you give, it always comes back to you tenfold. And like I said, if you're attending the Florida event, make sure you send me an email to inquire details about the location. I do have the space. I was able to secure the space for 2 hours. So it's going to be a really nice event. So make sure you come out. And as far as the other events in the other states, we're still working on that. And like I said, with your help, we can reach the goal. So make sure that you guys donate, share, like, because it helps everyone involved. So anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.